Let me start with the ayahuasca because I feel like on the show, I wanted to hear more about how was that experience for you,
Right?
Because it was a weird, trippy thing. Like it's one thing to take a psychedelic and hang out with your friends. It's another thing to hang out in like a jungle while some robed man chants while you trip balls
and be recorded for
yes,
it.
yeah. There's like
That's a weird way to do a psychedelic.
Yes.
Hey guys, rather than doing it in like my dorm room, I'm going to do it in the middle of nowhere where no one has cell connection, where the only way to get back to a city is by taking a boat ride for hours.
You're
and
implying
flying.
there was a measure of paranoia.
There was a lot of fear, and I don't
Right.
think, we didn't record a lot of that, but I was really nervous as the date approached because I couldn't say no. I could. I made it very clear that, like, look, if we're going to do this, we all need to agree that up until the moment I put it to my lips, I can say no. And no one's going to be mad that we went all the way out there.
Right.
Because I didn't plan on not doing it, but I wanted...
You want to reserve the
To have
right.
the
I didn't want to
option.
feel forced.
Yeah.
And so I said, look, when it comes to the decision process and what we do and how it works, that hierarchy goes me, then the shaman, and then everyone else.
I love that the
The
shaman
shaman.
supersedes.
If the shaman thinks that we need to have the lights off, if the shaman thinks that we need to stop
Okay.
recording,
Right.
and I can't respond, you listen to the shaman.
Yeah.
I know he's not on payroll. I know YouTube didn't approve him as a director, but
Did he get EP credits?
I don't know what he got. But he was a great guy. He was also our boat captain.
Oh, he's
Wow.
he moonlights.
Yeah. Yeah, he moonlights with the ayahuasca.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But tell me about that experience because I first of all, was it your first psychedelic experience?
As far as my mother knows, yes, of course it
Okay.
was.
All right.
Yeah.
She's not watching this. This isn't your mother's show.
And so it was, man, I think the initial emotion I had before the ceremony was aggravation.
Really?
Yeah, because I was nervous, but I couldn't do it my way.
What was your way?
My way would have been to not have all the cameras there, to not have to make a show.
Right.
And so this is what's going through my mind. I'm like hanging out in the hut, waiting for the shaman and his assistants to come and get me. But I can't just get picked up and then taken to the ceremony. We have to like do multiple angles and takes.
The experience
Oh,
couldn't be
yeah.
authentic.
It was totally authentic, but I had a job to do during it.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the hard part, that I couldn't just completely surrender myself to the
Right.
experience
Right.
as me. I had to be Michael, the host of Mindfield.
Right.
I had to listen to direction like, ooh, you know what, we have to do that again because like this light was in the wrong place, or oh, we need to get the coverage of the
My
shot of you
God.
entering. And I'm fine doing that, but I had bigger things on my mind. And
Like
so,
colors and shapes.
well, not even then yet, because I hadn't even
weren't-
taken it.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even know what kind of colors and shapes are they going to be. It was frightening. Okay, so then we've got a crew of people, right? We've got something like 8 people there, and they've got microphones all around. And usually you do this in the complete darkness. That makes for a terrible show. So we had to have lights installed, which made me really self-conscious.
Right.
Because not only am I being watched and surrounded by people,
You're expected to perform, which I can only imagine would be such an awful feeling while you're tripping balls.
right, okay, so expected to perform was another concern I had. So I also made it clear that if I do nothing
Right.
but lay there catatonically for 8 hours, you're all going to be happy. Agreed?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have any responsibility or obligation because you're in a different state of mind.
Yeah.
And I can perform. That's my career. That's my job. I'm used to that in this state of mind.
Right.
If I get hangry or grumpy or happy, I can still do those jobs. But I wasn't familiar with what it was like to be in the state of mind that DMT creates. So luckily, we had all that figured out, and it wasn't that big of an issue. But I felt really unhappy that I had to have all these eyes on me. And then as the drug started to take the effect, I felt feelings of guilt. Because
Really?
here I am, I was paid to fly to Peru to take drugs. And only I got to take them. No one else on the crew had signed the right insurance paperwork or would probably be able to do their job properly if they had also taken it.
That
So
would have been interesting, though.
it could have been interesting, maybe season 3.
The boom
whole
guys
crew
yacked
was
out.
high.
Yeah. So, I mean, the shaman drank some. You know.
Okay.
I
God
didn't know
bless
he
him.
would do that. But when you took a dose, I was like,
Were you a little concerned when you saw the shaman dip in?
yeah, because I was thinking, wait, I thought you were
You're
the
my
one watching
guide.
over me.
You're my guide, bro.
Yeah. But let me tell you this: when the effects got stronger and stronger, my feelings of fear and guilt and the self-awareness of all the cameras on me, that every motion I did was going to be caught, and if I sat up, they'd have to reposition cameras, and I'd be aware of that. And what if it didn't work? What if they needed to give me some kind of direction and I wasn't in the right state of mind? I eventually realized, hey, as annoying as it is to have all these cameras around, if we didn't have the cameras here, there wouldn't be a show. And I'm doing this for the audience. I'm doing this for Robin, the researcher who was there. It's not about me. All of these concerns about, hey guys, stop walking, that noise is frustrating, or stop asking for the coverage shots. That's my job. It's for everyone else. This is not for me. And starting to think about, I need to just give. Robin, come do the EEG scan. I'm ready for that. I didn't want to, but then I realized by allowing you to do it, I'm giving. It's not about me and what I want. It's about what everyone's here for. So that's a lesson I took
That's interesting.
from that afterwards.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How?
That's interesting because it makes you think about when something is your hobby and then becomes your job. It's kind of like it's not so much about you anymore.
Yeah,
That is kind of profound.
Yeah.
exactly.
Did you felt that on a level that you hadn't realized before?
Yeah, I mean, I literally envisioned myself as this like waterfall that's just offering its water to the world, and I'm like, I remember sitting there going, at some point, Robin has to come over and give me a series of questions. He's got to put this thing on my head and measure the electrical activity there, and I could say no. And I planned on saying no until I realized the way to get rid of all that anxiety was to just say, let's do this. I am a vessel for your research.
Were you concerned from the beginning that you weren't going to be able to perform that?
No, I wasn't really concerned because I figured even if it all completely is messed up and we don't get everything right, that in and of itself is a story.
Whatever happens is good.
Whatever happens is good.
Well, how did the experience match up to your expectation? Let's just assume that you've taken other psychedelics. Let's just imagine a world where you have. How would that hypothetically compare to your experience?
Well, it's different for every single person. But anxiety was my biggest fear because once you've drank the ayahuasca, you're on the ride. Like you can't take the antidote.
Right.
You know? And the first ceremony was really pleasant and quite low in its dosage. The second one, within 20 minutes, I was like, oh no.
You took twice as much, as I recall. You took like a third of a cup the first time, and then 3/4 of a cup.
That's right. Yeah. And it happened so fast, I had lost control. I no longer was like observing what was happening. Things were just happening to me.
Right.
And my heart started racing.
Right.
We had a medical doctor there, which normally you don't because it's not dangerous physically. But YouTube requested that we have a doctor there.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so but here's the thing. My heart was going, it was literally beating very fast. There's a moment where I touch my chest and I'm like, yep, it's really happening. But then I thought, how do I let the doctor know? Because I can't think. No, this is not how I normally feel. Is it weird if I just say, hey, help?
Right. They'd be like, what?
How are they going to interpret that?
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe I'll just ask for water, Maybe that will tether me back down to reality because someone will have to bring me water, and that's a really mundane,
This is
normal
so.
thing.
I've been I feel like I've been in that headspace
Yeah.
of trying to you're stuck between the ethereal world and the physical world and trying to make sense of being in another place, and it's frustrating. I hate that
and
feeling.
it's frustrating because I was probably most consumed not by anxiety, but by the feeling of how do I relay and describe what's happening to me later,
Yeah.
because that's what always annoyed me about discussions of psychedelic experiences is that it all felt really vague and hard to empathize
Abstract.
with. And now I mean I know why. It's like describing colors to someone who's never
Sure.
seen. It's a completely different state of mind.
Right.
And so
Every psychedelic experience I've had, I've hated it. I don't know why. Would you say it doesn't sound like you quite hated it, but it seems like it was marked with some negative feelings.
Exactly.
In my experience, I always have a lot of. I think my problem is like I'm too anchored. I never really let go, and you're always like resisting the urge to just kind of float off, and you're trying to like hold on to the earth as you're floating to the sky.
I think getting over that resistance is a
Right.
big part of what psychedelics teach you.
Right.
I didn't break from that, but I'm aware now of its existence. I know what it feels like. Robin Carhart Harris from Imperial College London, who came with me, didn't say I had a bad trip. He describes it as a challenging trip.
Yeah,
You know?
I like that.
I'm still glad that I did it, but I'm not like, I got to do it again. And I think that's fine. You know, that's
Yeah,
exactly
It's
fine.
Yeah, I think if you're so that eager to return to that state of mind, you're probably having some trouble dealing with the actual physical world. If you're so eager to embark out there
And
on a
leave.
daily basis, yeah.
I don't know, but I know that there's a bonus clip where we spoke to a woman who took psilocybin as part of this
What is
coping
that?
with
Oh, that's
death.
like mushrooms. Yeah.
She took a pill through a study at NYU, and she worked with these researchers for months, and they crafted a pill just for her based on her weight, based on her past. They knew what dosage to give her, and I think she felt incredibly safe. She wasn't in the middle of this brand new
This
place.
was therapy for coping with death.
Yeah, she
Her
had,
death.
Yeah, because she had been diagnosed with cancer, and to confront your own mortality is obviously frightening. But they were experimenting with how psychedelics can help you deal with those feelings, and it was a phenomenal experience for her. She tells a story of seeing a table with all of her family and friends, but also death is at the table. And she realized, yeah, death's invited, of course. And ever since, this happened years ago, ever since she's felt much better. She's felt healthier, and she only took that one pill. It's not like she has to take
Wow.
one every month.
Interesting.
It's one dose.
That's awesome. I think psychedelics and drugs like that really have a lot of value to our society. It's a shame that they get stigmatized. And I think that stigma itself is what contributes to a lot of the negative feelings you have when you take it.
I think so too, yeah, because you start to feel like, oh my gosh.
I'm doing something wrong or
I'm
dangerous.
doing something wrong.
Yeah.
In fact, I had this thought that cracked me up during that second ceremony where I was like, you know what? When the shaman lights the candle and says that it's over, first of all, it's very comforting because he knows how long these experiences last. When he lights that candle, it's proof to me that the effects are only going to wear down from now. I mean, it takes a very long time, but they when you're going down, you start to regain control. Anyway, I'm thinking, once he lights the candle and like the crew's done, the first thing I'm going to say is, I can't believe I'm going to have to tell my mom I did this. And that made me crack up because it just sounded like such a funny thing. But I didn't wind up saying it because it just felt like a joke when the experience was really dramatic and poignant. But I forgot what I was about to say.
You were
Just,
talking about the stigma, how it makes the
Oh
experience.
yeah, I think that if I was part of the Shipibo indigenous tribe where this is a medicine prescribed all the time, I would not have felt the same kind of. Am I a bad person?
Right.
Am I mean, this is illegal in the country that I live,
Right.
and I should feel bad that I'm doing this. This is a
Yeah.
behavior that only bad people do.
Right.
And you have that social baggage on you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard about a study that doctors are starting to use MDMA to treat PTSD. So they give you a dose of MDMA, which is ecstasy in the pure form, and they sit you down, and I guess it makes you feel more comfortable opening up, and you feel more comfortable with the emotions that you're dealing with. And so all these drugs that I think it's a shame. I really think it's a shame, this war on drugs, what it's done. I genuinely believe that people don't abuse drugs unless there's something else going on. Like, people don't just all of a sudden become addicted to drugs. I think all drugs should be legal, and people should decide what they want to do. And if there's education and support to help people navigate those waters, that we would be a healthier, better society.
And the word drugs, what does it mean? Because it
sounds
catches
bad.
so many things.
Yeah.
Everything from heroin to DMT
To Tylenol.
caffeine to Tylenol, right? And so we have done a disservice to both ourselves and to innovation and knowledge by saying, ooh, you're going to study psychedelics?
Right.
We really only want to fund that if you're going to be studying the bad side of them.
Right.
And only recently has that started to break apart. And we have this now renaissance of investigation of psychedelics. Imperial College London has this whole psychedelics research group. And that's what Robin was from, who came with us. And so we're starting to be able to understand more about the mind, because you cannot have a complete theory of the mind if you avoid or ignore something that it's capable of.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean,
it's crazy that, yeah, we've tried some, obviously by now, from the way we're talking about it, and it's weird to see what your mind is capable of.
So
I
it's a
wouldn't
shame.
want to do it on like a daily or weekly or we don't do anything now, but we've tried it, and
Yeah,
I think
sure.
the experience of trying something like that is really interesting, just to learn about your own body.
people are,
and
and there's all these scares, like you take acid once and you lose your mind. I knew a guy who took acid and fucking jumped off a roof, or he never came back from the trip. Like these are I swear to God, these are all just old wives' tales that are just designed to spook you. I don't think that really happens.
yeah, when I was a kid,
Maybe
I
very,
read,
very, very rarely.
Right. Well, two things. One, when I was a kid, I read the story about the guy who took LSD, thought he was an orange, and locked himself in a closet because he was afraid of being juiced. And you think, oh my gosh, how terrifying. And to be fair, this is a significant decision. This isn't like, hey, what you should do is invest in gold.
Right.
You should. I don't think anyone should. I don't have any advice or I'm not going to recommend to anyone what they do. It's their choice, or maybe the choice a medical professional should make. But the fact that, Gila, you're like, well, as you guys can tell, like maybe we have done some psychedelics. That caginess we have to have about
totally.
it.
Yeah, I feel bad like even talking about it, because then people are going to say, oh, you guys are promoting drug
I'm not
use.
promoting it. I don't endorse it, and I don't recommend.
I just feel like you should be able to talk about it. And
Right.
And I think, like you said, it's a big decision to make for yourself. And I don't think that it needs to be caged by law or stigma. I think that there should be open dialogue, there should be conversation, and go to a place like places in Europe where drugs are legal, and they'll test it for purity for you, so that you don't take something awful and die.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Making
how is
it
that
illegal
not worse?
means that some shady stuff can
It
happen
means
to the
that
drugs.
that shady, bad people are going to own the market. It's not going to be regulated, and there's not going to be you're not going to feel like there's anyone there who can help you or advise you through the experience.
Something I found fascinating was that when I spoke with Robin,
Hit him with the damn fascinating.
I asked Robin, the head of the psychedelics research group at Imperial College London. I'm like, so what's your experience with psychedelics?
Right. Assuming she's done it.
Robin,
Hey.
Robin, like Batman and Robin.
Right.
He goes, well, I don't talk about that. I was like,
What? It's
what?
like, dude.
Why? And he's like, well, my grandmother might see this.
That's such a cop out.
And I'm saying that is I was going to say fascinating. I'm like, that is
You see, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like drugs.
it's the F word.
I've got all the stigma around that.
What a great example of that
Yeah.
stigma. That
It's-
your job is to research psychedelics, and you can't
What
say
a-
that you've ever
yeah.
experienced them. What other scientist does that? Oh, I study gorillas. Oh, have you ever seen any? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I would never look at a gorilla.
Right.
I talk to people who have looked at them.
Yeah.
Or imagine an astronomer who's like, yeah, I've been studying the stars and the motions of the planets. I've never looked up.
Yeah.
Don't judge me. I don't look
Yeah.
up. I
It's-
talk to others who have, and until we break that barrier, I think we're really missing out on a big part of the human mind.
Did you ever consider puking out the ayahuasca after you drank it? Were you like, can I do that?
You don't have time. As soon as it's entered your body, you can
You're
try to
done.
vomit it up, but some DMT's already entered your bloodstream.
But you would reduce the effect if you just gagged.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it
Probably-
would have to be the case,
Probably
right?
be a rough start.
Vomiting and diarrhea are not diarrhea, but like lots of pooping, could be solid, I'm assuming, is a big part of the ayahuasca experience. And it's
how nice.
something they're prepared for. I had a puke bucket there. There are bathrooms there that
Was
you can
that
be taken
captured
to.
on film?
Never happened.
Never happened.
I never even felt like I had an upset stomach.
Interesting.
And I've heard of shaman who encourage that. It's part of the process of kind of
Shit your brains
purifying
out.
yourself. And there could be a legitimate medical reason that it's good in that you can flush out harmful bacteria if you really are having some intestinal problems. But never happened to me. Some shaman will make you puke by either disorienting you with their song or giving you a tobacco drink. But that can be pretty dangerous. I mean, we did this as safely as possible.
Right.
Again, we had a medical doctor there.
Right.
We
YouTube
had,
don't play.
Yeah, YouTube was yeah. And so I think that's a huge lesson to learn. Like, this was not a recreational, let's have fun and be weird kind of a moment. This was a let's work with a university, let's work with a hospital, and let's learn.
What was the scientific purpose of the? I know you put the electroid things on your head to measure your brain waves. Was that the purpose, or was it just to go through this experience as a scientist of sorts and to try to describe it?
It was both, because I wanted to see if I could help talk about that state of mind as someone who's a professional science communicator. But at the same time, no study had been done that was that environmentally valid, like literally done in the Amazon with those songs in those languages in that location. They're usually done in these very clinical hospital environments where you're in a white room and you're in a big city.
Right.
So we were able to look at that and help the researchers learn what variables to worry about, what kind of technology works. Obviously, it's not an experiment. It's not like, oh, we had a whole sample size and a control group. It's just one person. You've got an N of one. So we're not pretending. Yeah, we're not pretending that this is some experiment. It was more of a kind of pilot study to see what is it like to go to these retreats and try to collect data. Can we find anything interesting? Is this particular EEG helmet going to give us enough data, or is it too noisy and all of that? So we learned a lot in that case.
I felt a little bit cock-teased by that experience because you guys were saying in the show, you did it the first time you took a small dose, the second time you took a larger dose, and you guys were saying, I almost had an ego death.
I know.
I was almost there.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get there.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, great. Well, I can't wait for the third one when he
gets there.
And
I know.
And then I was like, wait, there's only 3 minutes left.
I know.
What happened?
That's what happens when you are doing it for real and you don't know what the result's going to be. You know, we have a lot
Did you consider doing it again, though? Because you could have taken more.
I could have decided, because a few hours in that second ceremony, I realized, oh, you know what? I can't get back to that ceiling that I was afraid of and turned away from. I could have gotten up and asked for more. This can happen during a ceremony, but I didn't. And there are other things that you'll see in future episodes where, like, I tried to get TMS on my head to disrupt and arrest my speech. We could not find Broca's area. They couldn't make it happen. That's just what happens, you know? If we'd spent, a whole week trying.
Was the large dose you took what is normally enough to have someone have like a full ego loss?
I think it's different person to person.
Okay.
Right, based on your weight and
Depends on your weight, depends on your mindset, depends on the setting. A full cup is pretty strong, but the point of ayahuasca is not to experience ego death. It's different person to person. Like, for a lot of people, a small dose, it's just to kind of like, I don't know, whatever effect you think you want from it, right? It's not about you're doing well if you're taking more. Not at all. Not at all.